Peace and love, yo. Peace and love. Yours truly, G Pal. General Pal Shadows of the House of Hip Step. Also known as Arthur P.E. McCallum, author of the book NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective. Peace and love once again, everybody. We back with another good and informative video on this NGR platform. I hope everybody's doing all right. And you know, it's a lot going on out here today in the world, and it's a lot that I need to speak on because, you know, when it's surrounding that N-word keeps coming up. It just keeps coming up. No matter what, in the media, you're going to see things arise about the N-word. And what do we have right now? What do we have here? Perfect opportunity for me to come in and chime in on a situation that's been going on in the news with this guy, Chud the Builder. Chud the Builder. Hold on. Wait. Plus, he happens to be from Nashville, from Middle Tennessee area. Actually, he's not from Nashville. He's from Clarksville. He came out of Clarksville, up there by Fort Campbell, where the military base is. You know, a lot of soldiers in Clarksville. But he came from that area, and he came into Nashville from out there harassing Black and indigenous people in the hoods out here in Nashville and Middle Tennessee, where I'm at, in the Nashville area, the Nashville metropolitan area. So he comes from Clarksville, right, 45 minutes away to come to Nashville to harass some Black folk. You know what I'm saying? So I had to come speak on that because this is my area, right? But I just had to chime in on this because there's a lot to unpack when it comes to this situation. So here we have this guy coming to our area, right? Here in Middle Tennessee, here in Nashville, right? Coming to our area. And he's provoking Black folk. What is he doing? He's running up on us at gas stations, at corner stores, in the hood. And he's, you know, saying derogatory things toward brothers, like trying to provoke them. It's almost like he's running some kind of a psyop. You know, it's almost like he's running some kind of a experiment, if you will. Because it's like it doesn't make any sense for this guy to come out here and from Clarksville, go to the hood and go out of his way to run up on Black folk and call us the N-word. You know, call us names. Provoke us to a fight. So a situation happened where he actually spit, somebody spit on him, or he spit on the guy, and the situation got out of hand. And an assault took place, and he ended up having to go to court for that. And if I'm not mistaken, some shooting took place outside the court with a guy where, you know, he was provoking a guy at outside of the courtroom, and the guy ended up, you know, attacking him, or, you know, responding to the provoking that he was doing. And then, if I'm not mistaken, he pulled a gun on the guy. I think he shot the guy, shot himself. But you know, one thing I do, right? I'm always big on the facts. All right. So what I want to do, let's take a second to see exactly what happened. Chud the Builder, right? We got all of the facts at our fingertips, so let's see. All right, so it says that the racist influencer known as Chud the Builder has been charged with attempted murder after he allegedly shot a man during a fight outside of a Tennessee courthouse, officials said. And this is according to the New York Post. The streamer, real name Dalton Ederly, 28, shot an unidentified man. during a fight Wednesday outside the courthouse in Clarksville, that's here in Tennessee, where he's from, right? It's like a military. A lot of people from the military live in Clarksville because it's right next to the Fort Campbell, Kentucky military base. According to District Attorney Robert J. Nash, who said Chud also accidentally shot himself during the fiasco. So he shot a man and he shot himself. Etherly, who amassed an online following by filming himself spewing vile racial slurs to get reactions, was in court for a civil case over unpaid debts just days after he was arrested for skipping out on a $400 restaurant bill while refusing to stop streaming. He live streamed from the shooting scene, blaming his gunfire on the other man who was black, according to witnesses confronting him over his vile online content. Yeah, you can read up more on that if you want to, but you know, as the author, you know, I wrote this book, NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective. And I wrote the book to be just that. You know, it's an expose on the N-word. So in this book, it contains all the actual facts that you would need to know about the N-word, where it comes from, the origins of it. You know, the etymology, etymologically, where it originated and derived from, which is Amharic, ancient Ethiopian language, Ge'ez, which is hieroglyphics, which is where we get the word NGR, the title of my book, from. This is where the N-word originates from in my findings. So I find it ironic that people like Chud the Builder go around filming us while they use the N-word, trying to provoke us and use it as something that is demeaning and try to provoke us into violence and think that they're calling us something demeaning. But I've actually discovered in my book, right? I discovered that the N-word comes from NGR, which originally meant king, emperor, ruler. It comes from Negus, which is the ancient Amharic or Ge'ez word in ancient Ethiopia or ancient Kush, right? Which means monarch, the ruler of the land, the Negus, the Negas, you know? There's Google Negus, Negus. Just Google that. Do me a favor after this video. Just Google that. But you can Google NGR and you will also find out what I'm saying to be the facts. You know, Author E.A. Wallace Budge, in his book, An Egyptian Hieroglyphic Dictionary, said this. And this is, I'm going to read from page 38 in my book, NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective, available on Amazon in audiobook, paperback, and Kindle. This is for Chud the Builder, right? Chud, listen up, buddy. The word nigger in the derogatory form as we know it today originated around the 16th and 17th century. Some scholars say it was around the 18th century. However, E.A. Wallace Budge has at least 14 definitions of NGR in his book, An Egyptian Hieroglyphic Dictionary, according to hubpages.com, which I have that book over there in my library. And according to cherryspeaks.wordpress.com, and it should be noted that none of the 14 definitions in Budge's book are demeaning. NGR meant deity, having both a male and female connotation. Therefore, nigger originally comes from NGR, Meduneter, or hieroglyphics for deity, and has divine meaning according to these sources. Now, let's look at some of the earliest forms of the N-word, right? So you have Naga, Negus, NGR, Negar, Negro, Noir, Negra, Niger, Negrim, and Negro. Who was the last Negus? This is taken from page 44 in my book. Who was the last Negus? The last Negus was Emperor Haile Selassie I, who in 1928 assumed the title of Negus, or king, and 2 years later was crowned emperor. 2 years later was crowned emperor November 2nd, 1930, when Zauditu died. Haile Selassie means might of the Trinity. Haile Selassie I, originally named Tafari Makinen, was born July 23, 1892, near Harar, Ethiopia, and died on August 27, 1975, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He was emperor of Ethiopia from 1930 to 1974. As emperor, he sought to bring his country into the modern world and steer it into the mainstream. Haile Selassie led the resistance as the last Negus when Italy invaded Ethiopia in 1935. Bomb. So, Chud the Builder, that's for you. Whenever you call in the black people and the black and indigenous people, as I like to call us, the N-word, right? Whenever you're using that around and you think that you're hurting our feelings and you think that you're doing something to hurt us, you're calling us deities, like it says in the hieroglyphics. You're calling us king, like it says in Ethiopia, ancient Ethiopia, like what I just read. That's what you're calling us. You're giving us reverence. Whenever somebody calls you the N-word, my research has shown and proven that they're giving us reverence. They're calling us something good. Now, over time, and I do go into that in my book as well, over time, the N-word has been changed from NGR and from Negus and from Naga, right? All these original N-words, where it derives from, to something that is totally foul and something that is completely offensive. Once it was translated by the Europeans, they began to utilize it in a negative connotation, and it began to take a negative meaning. And that is where we are today. The N-word is considered the most offensive word in the English language. So it went from NGR, right, to NIGGER. Chud. And all of you who seek to use the N-word to try to provoke the people, it won't work. Get a copy of my book, NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective. All right, this is yours truly, G Powell. I'm not only an author, I'm also an MC. So check out Peace Pipe by my group, Poetic Nocturnal Creatures. It just dropped on 420. It's dope, bringing the people together. Poetic Nocturnal Creatures, Peace Pipe. Yours truly, Pal Shadows, the General. Salute to all my hip steppers. Y'all keep hip stepping. Hip step over all these white supremacists and all these racist people who are trying to provoke you, to violence. People like Chud the Builder. Get a copy of my book. Learn the knowledge so you can just drop it on them whenever they come with that ignorance and try to provoke you to violence, man. We don't fall for that. We spread love, not hate, and we hip step over all bullshit. Much love. Peace and love. Yours truly, G Pal. Spread love, not hate.